This podcast is proud to be part of the talkSPORT Fan Network. talkSPORT. Powered by fans.
Stalls with a save. For the second here. A classic counter-attack, and Gibbs White puts Nottingham Forest 2 ahead. Here's one. 1-0 Forest. To the goal. Has made an even bigger difference there. Nottingham Forest have snatched the lead at Anfield.
Hello and welcome to this edition of Red Side of the Trent podcast as we come to you on a Forest-free weekend, actually, which is quite a bit of a nicety apart from recent.
Good weekend, man.
Yeah, well, yeah. At the minute, I'm your host, Christian Brown. I'd like to be joined by Reiss Lane, and we are currently waiting for Alex Oakes. He may or may not appear. We'll soon see. But in the meantime, Reiss, how are you?
I'm good, mate. Yourself?
Not too bad, not too bad. Yeah, it's been interesting. I don't know what the weather's been like up where you are, but I played
raining
this morning,
quite badly.
Yeah, in possibly the worst conditions I've ever played 11-a-side football match in. To the point the game was called off at half time, but the result still stood.
Oh. Okay. What was the score at half time when it was
11-0, not to us?
11-0.
Yeah,
Oh.
so the Winds, honestly, they scored 4 goals straight from corners that the Wind just pushed in. So that told you how mental it was. We were downhill, we were playing uphill as well. It was like literally anything you could have, the worst circumstances in the world you could have possibly wished for. Yeah, clearly we didn't do the hard yards or nuts and bolts enough as we went down pretty badly. But I was at front just like watching, like from the goal kicks, the ball wasn't even going like halfway up the half. It was just like sort of looping back towards. It was that strong. So yeah. Bad day at the office this morning.
Yeah, your misery then, the referee.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah. It was honestly, it was a vile morning, that. But speaking of vile, we'll very quickly revisit the Wolves game, really, because we haven't understand this yet. But obviously, yeah, you were there. I wasn't actually there that night. Thank God. What was your sort of take on the result and the performance and everything that sort of came with it, really?
Yeah, I mean, the result, especially after the last 2, was a bit of a disaster, really. First off, I felt for Dyche in the sense that we did everything we could do aside from stick the ball in the net. You know, it's not his fault that we get a 6-on-1 and we don't really communicate properly and end up with somebody stretching and blasting it over the bar. I mean, we could have, passed it into the centre and then passed it again, couldn't we, really, for a tap-in? I mean, that was really poor. That's just a lack of quality all round in the final third. The crossing, so many, especially from Hudson-Odoi, straight into the goalkeeper's arms. The quality of shots not very good. Second half, the same, and it got to a point where the players were kind of going through the motions a bit, wasn't it? And then that's where I'm looking for the manager then to change something, to go throw caution to the wind, change formation, go 2 up top, just to put a bit of guidance into the players. And all we saw was like for like subs, no real change of anything, and it ended up petering out into a draw. And his mantra on the radio after was like, it's another point and it's a clean sheet. That is part of the issue with Dyche. I'd expect a manager there to go for broke and go for the win. It was if like he's happy with a point and the clean sheet against bottom of the league. And I guess the first sign we saw of that was at Graz away when we both went, mate. We ended up with 10 defensive players on the pitch that night against, I know we were struggling with injuries, but against a very average at best side. So yeah, I think after that performance in terms of the result and the reaction of the crowd at the end, which was bad, I thought it was only going to go one way, and it was no surprise that he was sacked. Obviously, the time it is, when everyone's in, well, most people are in bed. It's it was no surprise to me. And to be honest, it's been coming. And I think, I've kind of said this personally on Twitter that I felt the divide between fans has gone back to how it was under Martin O'Neill, and it was always going to go one way at some point, whether that was now or it was in the summer. this was never going to be long term, was it, under Dyche? And I think when you look back and, clearly the club had panicked because of how bad the Ange appointment was, and fans are guilty of it as well, of panicking. You look back and when it was only 8 games in the season, 90 points to play for, it was probably the wrong appointment. And now really is the time when you'd want Sean Dyche to come in with 12 games to go, because he's shown us what he is, and we're all guilty of it. We spoke about it on this pod of, believing he could change, but, a leopard never really changed its spots, and it's proved to be.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest disappointment of it all, really, because I feel like we've alluded to as well, there were several times we could have kicked on. Obviously, initially, we had an initial boom and obviously got clear. I mean, even as recently as a month ago, we were 7 points clear of a drop. Obviously, now it's 3. And, again, I completely take your point about, him going, we it's a point in a clean sheet. I felt that way at West Ham, says a few times this podcast now, that I genuinely believed at West Ham that he was happy with a 1-1 draw away from home there. And we were all like, no, a win's the only acceptable result from this game. It had to happen, really. It really did happen. I find it absolutely staggering. There were so many just happy to defend him and happy to sort of say otherwise and come up with all sorts of reasons to try and justify it. We could all see with our eyes where it was going. But yeah, obviously, I just find it funny that since then, obviously, you've got his it reminds me of the Houghton sacking, really. Obviously, where when Laura Woods and who was it, John Cross came out to bat for Houghton, because obviously he was a very popular man and whatever else. We've seen it again now with Henry Winton and a few others. And obviously on the one hand they do have a point in that going through 4 managers in a season isn't exactly normal, but they aren't the ones watching him every single week. They aren't the ones going to put their money into games. They aren't the ones who put their time and effort into the club and watching every minute of every match for football. They see a highlights package at weekends, and they see him come out a few quotes and think, oh yeah, that's proper football, none of this woke nonsense. And they aren't watching what we're watching. They aren't seeing the no patterns of play. They aren't seeing the good players looking mediocre and promising players look diabolical. They don't see any of that. They just see Forest labouring to results every now and occasion without really fully delving into details as to why. We could all see it wasn't sustainable. If you played that West Ham and Brentford game back 10 times, I reckon Forest lose 9 of those games. In each instance. Even the Wolves game, we won 1-0. That probably ends up a draw more often than not. We got lucky there. If Johnson doesn't come running off his line kamikaze style, we probably end up drawing that game. I thought we were quite fortunate not to lose on Wednesday night. Right at the end, Ortega doing his job. Yeah, imagine if that had gone in. Jesus, people have stormed the pitch.
I mean, we've been relying on kind of moments of individual quality, like the Brentford game was 2 moments of individual quality. We still didn't really create much in that game. But the problem is when you're at the bottom, you have to take these wins, and if you dare think longer term and say, the style's unsustainable, it's going to come back with criticism, isn't it? But yeah, it has been coming, and this season's not on Dyche. It's not his fault. We're at 4 managers. I mean, it's ridiculous, isn't it? Really, but this is where we're at, and we've got now. Pereira's got 12 games to just try and keep us in this league somehow. I think everything else has gone out the window. He's just got for 12 games. It's like a bit of a mini season now, isn't it? He's basically got a 3-point buffer on West Ham. He's just got a better match their results, really. Well, match their results, should I say?
Yeah, match their results will be fine. That's all that matters, really. But no, obviously, as you touched upon, Vitor Pereira is now Nottingham Forest manager. He signed an 18-month deal, which I find quite bizarre. Because I think none of us expected him to see out that 18 months. But to be fair to him, what I will say is that this is someone who's won. I know he's on illustrious leagues, and obviously this is a stick that we beat Ange with as well. But he's won the Portuguese league twice, won the Greek league. I think he's won the Chinese league as well. So which doesn't really count for a lot. But to be fair, Nuno's only league title I think was one in Saudi when we hired him. So it's obviously something there. I think more importantly to our cause, because last season obviously Wolves were in dire straits yet again. They've been circling the drain for a while, really. But they got he took over from them when they had 9 points from 16 games, and they were mathematically clear, I think, going into May. So they had a really good upturn in form with him. I think I've seen as well that if you look at the league table from last season, from when Pereira started to season ended, they only finished 4 points behind Forest. So he clearly got a big tune out of them. But what's your overriding feelings towards Vitor Pereira? I think he's someone that we suggested could be the only really viable alternative to Dyche at this moment in time. But what's your sort of your sort of thoughts and things on that in a minute?
Well, I mean, before he come to Wolves, I doubt many people would have really heard of him unless you're, football anorak for the continent of knowing everything.
Watched Al Shabab, yeah.
Yeah. The reason why we have hired him is because of that body of work last season with Wolves. He come in and had the impact, like you just said, mate. And he steered them to safety. I guess the downside from last season is that the three sides who did go down were kind of dead and buried and were really, really bad. We've got West Ham who are actually showing a bit behind us now. So, he's gonna have to kind of hit the ground running into it because we don't want them going above us, and we still want to drag sides into it. It's crazy thinking Spurs aren't out of it. Brighton are on a real downward trend. Leeds aren't out of it yet. They're showing good form. Palace the same. You'd think Palace beating Brighton and then they're 2-0 up at half time. Well, 2-0 up after 40 minutes to Burnley. You're thinking, well, they're probably home and dry, and then they collapse. So there's still a lot of football to be played yet, and a long way to go yet. But it's a last chance saloon, isn't it? This is where we are. This is where we are. We're just hoping he can come in and give us a bounce. What's going to be enough? I put on my personal Twitter the other day, you've got 12 games left in the league. If you get, a win, draw and loss 4 times over three games, that'll be enough. That'll put us on to 43 points. So you're kind of looking at that really, which is achievable. 4 wins, 4 draws and 4 defeats with this side. But the side have got to show it as well because they've not been good enough. But this is where we are, mate. I'm not going to say I know loads and loads about him aside from what he did last year. Obviously the downside as well is I think Wolves are kind of giving him the keys in the summer, hasn't it? And it's gone badly wrong.
Well, I think there's a bit of a caveat there. So they ended up signing his 4th or 5th choice targets mostly. Right,
okay.
I know
clearly wasn't good enough.
Yeah, and then you could see it in his body language at the start of the season. He jacked it in, really. I mean, and to be fair, I mean, this is, I think, obviously it is important, but I do think there is some leeway with him for this summer. Because
of course,
anyone in that club is going to struggle. They sold Cunha, Nouri. They didn't replace Semedo. And they said, right, we'll just unline the dross then. And he's like, cool, I'll see you.
Yeah.
And obviously, this is 8 games? So 20 games later, they've gained, 7 extra points than what he has. Doesn't really say a lot for, I think it was a poison challenge regardless. But
I know he's got an 18-month deal, but this is a short-term deal. This is till the end of the season. I think even if he was to, get a real tune out of the squad and we kind of flew away, unless we kind of won the Europa League, I think this is a 6-month deal, and it'll be, we'll reset in the summer if we stay in this league, because the resets are going to be vastly different if we do stay in this league. If we don't, if we do stay up, then there's going to probably be a few who want to move on, and then if we do go down, then you're probably looking at most of the squad wanting to move on. So that's it. That's his job. The European aspect of it, I guess it's just enjoying it while it lasts really now, because the Premier League has become the priority, unfortunately. But I guess for Pereira, he'll look at it and think, well, my first game's Fenerbahce away. It's his old club. I'm sure I'm sure that will give him a bit of an impetus, and he'll think, well, I can't just toss this off because I want to start winning games. So it gives me more feeling that we could get a result out there with making the trip. So hopefully we can do that.
Definitely. I mean, what I will say is I had a look. I mean, he doesn't really have a very successful record in finals, but actually getting to finals, he's done quite well. I think he's got about 6 or 7 cup finals. I think he's got 2 across his career, winning 1. But the notion of even getting there is quite impressive. I mean, I'm not fully writing off Europa just yet. I mean, obviously, that's just the optimist in me sort of thinking. I mean, you can look at it, Dyche has gone and we're thinking about maybe there is a chance after all. Look, I mean, that's the sort of weight that's been lifted from us at this moment in time. But it's interesting. I looked at his last 10 clubs. I mean, that's a body of work in itself. But if you look at the first 10 games in the last, the first 10 games in his last 10 clubs,
Right.
he's won
I've
at least
seen that,
with the exception of 1860 Munich, who apparently were an absolute bomb site. He's won a minimum of 5 with the other 9.
Well, that'd do, wouldn't it? If we could do that,
You say to us, we win 5 league games. That's it, home and nose. 15 points to what we're on now to put us on 42. We won't go down with 42 points. I don't think that would take something very spectacular from West Ham to sort of avoid that Europa League challenging form, really. So, I still maintain that this squad's got a lot more to give than it's been showing. We saw. How very quickly. If you look at the Swansea game, was it the second goal, I think, where it went across to the right and then came back in for Jesus?
Yeah.
You compare that to the situation we had against Wolves, a 6-on-1, and we didn't know what to do. We knew exactly what to do in that moment, and just been there 2 minutes. I don't want to give that bloke any credit whatsoever, but they very clearly switched on to, we actually quite like playing football. So I'm hopeful that Vitor can tap into that. I actually think that we have a lot of players to be quite tactically versatile as well. It's no secret that he does like a 3-4-1-2, but I think, or 2-1, sorry. But also he's won the league with a 4-3-3. He went, he's had 4 elsewhere, so he's quite, he described himself as a tactician. He said in his one of his podcasts I've seen him do. But would you like to see Forest switch to back 3 at all? Do you think the players are there, or do you think it's a bit too late in the day for that and go with what we know and sort of
Well, I guess with Dyche, we kind of saw no tactical flexibility in terms of formation, did we? So it does give him that option. Do I think at this stage we'll probably do that long term in terms of this season, like we're doing it most weeks? Probably not. I think he'll probably play a similar of what we're doing now. Look, the players have got to. Like last season, they clearly all love Nuno, and we ran out of steam. But when you look at it and think, then that group of players should have had enough to beat Leicester, for example, last season. You look at some of the results at the back end of the season, and they were poor. Let's have it right. So you could argue, and then it gets to that West Ham game when the fans are saying, "Well, was Nuno thrown this and this, and this?" But they were poor in that game. And they've lost the game 3-0 and completely capitulated. So that's one manager down. They didn't want Ange. They clearly wasn't having him. We wasn't having him as a fan base, I don't think, because to change styles into a season with the games that was coming up, it just wasn't feasible. And, they were probably shattered from that, to be honest. And I get a feeling that's where they've come in and Dyche has come in and thinks they're not fit enough. And then they'll probably think, because he's a motivator, Dyche, they'll probably think, I will put up with this for a few weeks. But then when it's running, like apparently, some of the articles suggest these players are Premier League footballers. They want to play football. They don't want to just head and kick it and defend for 90 minutes. Like people like James McAtee, they were taught by, Pep Guardiola. They're probably not going to buy into Sean Dyche's methods. You know what I mean? So, it's you kind of zoned out to it all because it's been that chaotic, and you're just hoping he's got enough in his locker to get us a bounce and get us safe. Nothing else really matters now. He's got players at his disposal. I'm sure there's a group of players who are absolutely delighted Dyche has gone, because some have been ostracised, haven't they, really? Yeah, exactly. Bakwa, McAtee, obviously Callum Mwendo if he was still here. Cunha's another. And, the senior players have gone up to the boardroom and said they've washed their hands of him, really. So that says everything, doesn't it? So
yeah, that's what made me laugh. I mean, there was a few people sort of saying, "Oh yeah, we don't want people speculating about whether players want Dyche or not. Clearly, it's United front." Well, clearly it wasn't United front. Because went to Marinakis' office and told them they wanted a shot of him. I mean, take McAtee for example. I mean, just loosely going back to that Wolves game, someone who's been trained and brought up in a Pep system where they play 10 men behind the ball every single game and how to pick that lock, and you don't look at him off the bench and think, "Yeah, you'll do." I guarantee if he was a foot taller, he'd be starting every game as well. That's what was so frustrating.
Yeah, it's just the contradictions what started to annoy me. When he come out, and I knew I'd go after that Wrexham game, and I get fans' frustration. Yeah, you do want to probably chuck him under the bus as a fan, but we know how it goes in football.
Yeah.
Like Danny Tring said on the podcast after that game, it's dated. It's only going to go one way. And then when, he's moaning that players aren't performing when they're getting a chance. Well, McAtee's last game, he gets man of the match. He's not seen a minute since. There was absolutely no reason to not bring him on the other night, for example, against Wolves. Taiwo, who long term, I think he's finished at Forest, but his best moment in the shirt this season was Brentford away. He's not seen a minute since. Yeah. I'm going back to Callum Owendo, 2-2 Europa League. I think over the next 8 Premier League games, he got 25 minutes as a whole. So these players are going to think, well, the odd time when I do get a chance, I'm not getting a chance in the Premier League. So they'll think, well, what's the point? You're not giving them any motivation, are you, to kind of do well, really? And it's like against Wolves, there was players on that pitch who was clearly, just physically gone on the night. Like Einer needed to come off. Like we bring the lad in from Germany in, and he's tossed his hands of him. So what at the end of the day, this is, we're giving him resources, and he's just not wanting to use them. He's only wanting to use certain players. So it was only going to, unfortunately, it was only going to go one way, wasn't it?
Yeah, that notion about I do it with a better team and players. No way, no chance. And also, just for the record as well, that chance that Luca has that Hudson-Odoi put on for him, I bet Callum Owendo scores that as well. Just saying.
Well, it just needed some communication, doesn't it? The stupid thing is, and I don't know if those in the comments will agree, and Alex will agree, being at the game, when we actually went through, I had no confidence at all that we was going to score that goal. None whatsoever. And the weird thing about football is you play like we did first half on, when was it? Wednesday, wasn't it? If we'd have played like that first half last season, it would have probably been 5-0 up in the game, you know what I mean? But, this is all how it always goes in football, isn't it? The manager's the fall guy, and the players just look like the confidence had just been drained out of them, really.
Massively. Well, welcome, Alex.
No.
Better late than never.
I do apologise.
No, you're fine. You're fine. Just very quickly, obviously, your thoughts on. Well, obviously, we'll go for give you a little segment. So, obviously, you have your say on the Wolves defeat. Sorry, it felt like a defeat. Wolves draw. Dyche's subsequent sacking, and Vitor Pereira. Is he the man for you or not?
We'll start on the Wolves result. I think that's been pretty much the epitome of the season. A lot of effort, no real end product. How many games have we seen like that this season? Sort of a lot of huffing and puffing, and no like genuine quality at the end of at the end of anything. In terms of the Dyche sacking, you never want to take pride in a manager sacking. As the end of the day, it's someone losing their job. It's his assistants losing their job. No matter how much they've been, how much they paid for it. But I think it got to a point where it felt untenable. Because if the players aren't believing in you anymore, you can't hold that position. It's exactly the same in any workplace. If you don't believe in what your manager's doing, 9 times out of 10, you're going to half-arse pretty much anything you do. But at the end of the day, he's really not helped himself. I was backstage when Reiss was talking about Leeds away, and the team selection was crazy because we all know that Luca Netz probably wasn't going to start any game this season, but that one, I'm not really bothered if he's been in the door 3-4 days. It may have been his own chance to start because there was that spot open with Williams' suspension, but instead he's decided to play. Ironically, he goes on about being Premier League ready and not being experienced enough, but he started someone in Zach Abbott was that his first Premier League start, maybe his second. He started, so he's done the same thing he's criticising other players for. And ultimately, it wasn't the only thing that cost us that night, but I think it harmed us pretty badly because, that right-hand side was ineffective as anything I've ever seen. Dominguez and Abbott got torn to shreds by Okafor and Goodmanson all night. Didn't cause them a problem. And you can't help but feel if there was natural balance there with Nets on the left, Dana on the right, it may have turned out different. It may not. We'll never know. But it's one of those things. It's difficult. In terms of Vitor Pereira, we haven't got a choice. We haven't got a choice but to try and believe that he's the bloke that's going to keep us up. He's in now. I mean, he came into a Wolves scrap last year that he got him out of initially. But again, it seems that the summer was more harmful for Wolves than anything else in his recruitment. And I personally, I don't think he'll be afforded that luxury here. I don't think he'll be here beyond this season, despite us giving him an 18-month contract, unless he goes on, wins the Europa League, keeps us up by 10 points. And, but again, it's unlikely. We're still in the competition, so you never know. But, yeah, I mean, if he comes in and gets all he needs is 4 or 5 wins for me out of 12. And yeah, we've got to hope that this squad believes in him, and we can believe in the squad enough to gain that and gain Premier League safety.
Well, interesting. One of the things I was reading an article by Steve Maybe in the Fleck, and he said that I'll read it out to you verbatim. Actually, it said that fairly early into Vitor Pereira's time at Wolverhampton Wanderers, some colleagues at the club's training ground discussed the reasons for his initial success. It did not take long for the name of another former Wolves manager to be mentioned. Staff who had worked under Nuno Espirito Santo, Wolves' most successful, most popular head coach of the 21st century, described working for Pereira as like slipping back into a comfortable, familiar pair of slippers. Pereira, they said, had created a little of the old Nuno vibe around Wolves. I mean, that in itself, that's all we need. Yeah. That is all we need.
Yeah.
Like, it's what the players are familiar with. It's if we can get them believing in themselves. I mean, look at Bakwa, for example. I mean, look at after the season. I genuinely feel sorry for Dylan Bakwa. I mean, the season he had last season with Strasbourg, they ripped it up in the French league, did really well, won the top talents from that league that didn't play for PSG, and he come over England full of confidence. You saw him early doors. Even when he wasn't playing, he was still. I mean, there's that video of him with beat Spurs 3-0, and he's like jumping on Sangare's back and trying to really involve himself and whatever else, just generally be happy with his teammates. And then all that confidence was completely smashed out of him by Dyche. You could see it completely smashed out of him. You saw it at Braga. I mean, we saw it firsthand. He literally was scared of the ball. He did not want the ball at any point during the night. And it's like, how have you gone from this fearless winger who wants to run at players, one of the best one-on-one dribblers in the top 5 leagues in Europe last season, to literally being petrified of a ball against, far weaker opposition than what you're playing against? It's, playing for, sorry. I do wonder how one of these players that we've had that have been sort of seemingly cast aside and deemed as poor recruitment will suddenly find a spark in their step now and sort of kick on from this. Because I honestly think they just need a lift. They just need a lift. The players need a jolt. And I honestly think if that happens and it comes off the way we want it to, yeah, of course we'll be fine. I'm not going to take it for granted. We are very deep in a relegation battle at this moment in time because of what's happened. Again, he should have gone after Villa, really, for me, Dyche. He should have gone after them. I mean, you were there. You saw it firsthand, Alex. You saw him refuse to acknowledge you all. And then after that, he made a very sarcastic point of coming over after that. He should have gone then. Or after the Wrexham game. You take your pick. Again, as for those who are on Twitter, like WC Analysis, who obviously comes up with loads of stats and very, very good account to follow. Don't do that already. He said that in his sort of debrief of the Dyche era, if you look at the top 10 worst performances Forest have done since promotion in any competition, it's going to be very Dyche heavy. Let's be honest. If you look at the Everton home game, for example, Braga, Villa. It just had to go. He had to go. Feel free to interject anyone, but I'm just still in bemusement that we actually had to go through this season.
It just sums up this season. The man took that I guess there was these concerns at the start of the month. Villa was the third. I think Wrexham was the 8th or the 9th, something like that. And then with the lad, him to have the whole transfer window, and then even still, the club and him aren't aligned. He's wanting Premier League ready-made players, the likes. I think Nick Pope was mentioned, Dwight McNeil, Hinshelwood. He's got none of them. And then Forest are signing players what he doesn't want to play, the likes of Nets. It took him a couple of games to put Luca in. So there's no alignment there. So that's where someone needs to make a decision, really, because if there's no alignment, this has been the problem the whole season. There's no alignment between the manager and the recruitment. Now, if we do stay in this league, that needs to change. That needs to be, if Sirianos has taken over Ross Wilson's role, he needs to go out and get a manager who he believes will work with his recruitment team and will play a certain style, will play a certain formation, and will recruit, for that. It's just when you're reading stuff like that, they're completely off the wrong page straight away. So why he's been given, I guess, the whole month, results have, papered over it, haven't they, really, the Arsenal and the Brentford ones. I mean, if you're watching the Arsenal game, you, to be fair, you are looking at the players and thinking they are still playing for them because they put in a lot of effort in that. And then you've got a great result at Brentford. But it's just frustrating that, we all said in our personal group, didn't we, them 3 games, Palace, Leeds and Wolves, we all thought they was a big run of fixtures. We're all saying, yeah, we need 6 or 7 points, and we've got 2. So the work, what we've done, the good work, where we've pulled rabbit out of hats against Arsenal and Brentford, where you're probably thinking we'll get no points, it's all gone to waste because you've not took the points in the games where you're thinking, right, let's push on now. That was the 2 frustrations for me for Dyche was he steadied the ship and he couldn't push us on in games what we're feeling we not should, but looking more to get results. And the 2 was just the contradictions. He clearly made his mind up on certain players, and whether they banged in a hat-trick in the Europa League, got man of the match performance in the Europa League, they was never going to get a sniff in the Prem. So what motivation does that give to players?
Yeah, this is it. I mean, another thing I think that's come out since the Dyche sacking is the word entitlement. I mean, I don't think our fans are necessarily entitled. They're incredibly frustrated, yes, but not entitled. I think they're frustrated because, we have assembled a good squad. I firmly believe that, and it's been utilised horrendously. We're frustrated because what was meant to be, well, what we all hope would be a very good season has been a relegation battle again. We're frustrated because, we were very quickly, rapidly. If it had been kept Dyche, we would have gone back to a league that it took us 23 years to get out of the right way of course. But that's not entitlement. That's concern and care. That's not, again, like people need a dictionary definition to find out what that word actually means. It gets thrown around willy-nilly these days. But
yeah, I'm right up there. I think I've bit back at a couple of people that have used that word. There are certain people in this fan base that are getting entitled mixed up with expectation. You can have expectations, yet people, the only thing that people are entitled to in this fan base is an opinion, and it goes for absolutely anyone. It's fine. Everyone's got an opinion on every matter to do with this football club, but that doesn't make you entitled. It's a word that recently it's been bugging me a lot because it's always used in the wrong context. And it seems just a jab at certain folk to just hammer other people with an opinion. Yeah, I hate the word.
Yeah, like we've been there. I've seen Forest draw to Weymouth and draw to Salisbury and lose to Chester and and lose to Woking, LDV's Vans Trophy. It's not like as if, suddenly start supporting Forest once we've got promoted. So I've seen all the bad times of League One days and that. I'm thankful for where we are now. We've come a long, long way as a club. I never thought we'd get to this stage. But when you do get to this stage, it's not about, well, I'm happy because it was crap 20 years ago. I'm just happy to be here. You've got to keep improving. You want to keep stifling for better and be the best you can be. And that's, you know, he has got it badly wrong this season, and sometimes it can probably be over-ambitious, Marinakis, but that's what he wants as well. You know, we're not here just to make up the numbers in the Premier League. We actually want to do, you know, well, stay here and, you know, compete while we've got the Europa League badge on as top. Because, you know, how many teams just come up and roll over? The Norwiches, the Lutons, look at them now in League One. There's so many teams just come up and just happy to be here vibe. And, you know, they go straight back down. Burnley are another one at the minute. You know, that's why I give credit to Sunderland, because they spent a lot of money in the summer, but they had a proper go at it. And why not? And look, they've had a great season. The manager's probably going to be up for Manager of the Year. And, you know, fair play to him. I think you should just be the best you can be. And to be honest, this squad is better than what we're seeing. You know, I think some fans have probably washed their hands on certain players, but I still believe this squad is a lot better than what we're showing. You know, what player looked good under Dyche? Sangare, probably the only one. But we all believe he's a good player anyway. Yeah. The rest of them, not at the levels they've shown last season. And I know fans are saying, yeah, last season was a fluke. It probably was, in the sense that we was third for the majority of the season. But we've seen these players play a lot better than what they are now, and they are better than what they are now. So hopefully Pereira can be the man to come in and do that, because, you know, like we've said already, we just need a bounce until the end of the season. We just need some feel good factor, you know, and, you know, there's nothing long term at the minute. It's just all short term about getting to the end of the season, just making sure by whatever way possible we stay in this league, because going down would be a disaster.
Oh, it'd be horrendous. I mean, I don't think people fully appreciate just the scale of how bad it would be. I mean, I don't think we'd have a squad left. I mean, on the one hand, you can say, yeah, Forest could have 300 to 400 million to build a new squad in the Championship, but it would be an entire new squad. Again, like, these players wouldn't stay. So it'd be an absolute mess. But before we go and look at Fenerbahce and some of the caveats with that, we'll have a little look at some of the comments through here. I'll start with... So start with Lewis Morris, who's gone for the pints and points. Let's go. Obviously, the Vitor Pereira mantra, as was Wolves. Obviously, they had a little thing that goes around with it. So we got NFFC 2000 said, I hope you put the hard yards in. I did put the hard yards in. I ran around like a headless chicken up front in true Dyche fashion and got absolutely nothing for it. One shot on target in 45 minutes of football. So, you know, Dyche wouldn't have made subs at half time as 11 down. I mean, to be fair, Milk week, we'd have a bench because no one turned up. But yeah, not ideal. Lee Tilson said, I'm really upbeat about this appointment. I think Pereira can not only keep us up, but do what Dyche couldn't do whenever we got the chance, and that's push us on. Hopefully. Let's hope, and you know, that's got to be the aim. It's really hope that is the case. J82487 says, have a look at his masterclass. He's very intelligent man tactically. I must admit, from the little short bits I've seen of him in talking about, he does seem very astute in regards to how he views the game tactically. So yeah, we'll have to see. Nilsson 0787, who has to explain that his reasoning for having an Aston Villa profile picture because his son supports Villa and, you know, he supports Forest. I mean, something's gone wrong there, clearly. But he went, no way he was signing a 6-month contract. 18 months gives him a bit of cash. Did well with Wolves when he came in. And also, our squad is better than what he had at Wolves. The players have to step it up now. And it's also fair. I mean, again, obviously, we don't have a Mateus Cunha, but I think we're a much more rounded team than what Wolves had last season, as we've since seen, I think. We have, so just skimming through, go for one from John Harvey from Facebook saying, all you can do is give yourself the best chance of winning before the players go on the pitch. Did we do that for the Leeds game? Consensus is no, and crucially, that was a consensus before the game, stated with the benefit of hindsight. Yeah, it's a fair comment. And yeah, well, that's everything for that. So thank you all for getting your comments in so far. We'll now have a little look at Fenerbahce. That's our next fixture. Our first European knockout tie for many a year.
Mad saying that.
I know, right? Yeah.
I've got a bit of a sticker when you're ready to have.
Yeah. Jesus. We've got the Kante Freds pairing in midfield to come up against. I didn't get Darwin Núñez signed, which is probably a good thing. But obviously are filled with a ton of Barclaysmen, if you like, or Premier League heroes from yesteryear. But more interestingly, I suppose, from a Forest perspective, is that Matt Sells will be ruled out of that game. The UEFA squad list has actually had him removed and replaced with Ortega, so that injury must be fairly severe. Reiss, I'll start with you for that. Firstly, how big a blow do you think that is not having sales available, and how are you sort of feeling going into the game? Obviously, you are making the trip, as are you, Alex, of course. But yeah, what's your sort of overriding emotions ahead of this?
With Sells, it is a shame he's injured because he has looked better. I guess he's probably one player you could say he's been a little bit better under Dyche, hasn't he? But he was took out the side for a while for a goalkeeper I said wouldn't be good enough, and it proved. I think that'll probably be John's last game for Forest, won't it? That his last act is doing his knee and conceding that goal. And Bizot learnt it off him last night, and he did the same, but actually brought the man down as well. So it is a blow because I've said, like to you and the guys in the group chat, I'd like to keep that back five together because it was paramount to his success last season. I think the more that back five is to get, the better it is as a unit because they kind of know each other. I guess hopefully the four in front can stay as they are. Ortega had not the best of debuts against Leeds, but he was good against Wolves. What he had to do, he did. He could have easily have come rushing out for the chance right at the end, which had similarities to the Everton winner last season. He stood firm and made a save I expect him to make, but he made the save. So, yeah, it's a shame he's injured, but at least we've got, a goalkeeper who, even Pep had him in for a period of time until last season at City. So he shouldn't be any clown, you'd like to think, touch wood. Well, Fenerbahce, I followed their game last night, so they beat Trabzonspor, who we sold Kevin Campbell to back in the day, if you remember. Then they beat them 3-2 away, the second in the Turkish league. I'm actually speaking to a Turkish podcaster on Tuesday evening, which will be out Wednesday, so I'm looking forward to hearing a bit more about them. They are in decent form. They've got a lot of players who we know about, the likes of Asensio, Fred, Kante, Nelson Semedo, Ederson in goal, Milan Skriniar from Inter Milan, former Inter Milan centre-back. So it is like a bit of a Premier League ex-players retirement home, isn't it, Turkey, I guess we say. But look, they've got some quality in the team. It's going to be a tough game. The atmosphere, I'm sure, is going to be probably something what we've not experienced before as Forest fans. So, if we can go over there and just have a purpose to his play, I'd say, really, be tight, be compact, but when we can get on the counter, we've got players who can hurt Fenerbahce. So I think if we can go over there and avoid defeat, I think that'd be a positive result because at home, I'd fancy turning them over at ours. So I'm hoping that's what we can do. I'm quite obviously more confident now that Dyche is gone and Pereira's in because of that new manager bounce that we'll go over there and get something. And I'm hoping we do because it's going to be a long day for me and Alex and everybody else who's making the trip. It's it isn't Forest's fault at all, but I really don't know how UEFA let them get away with some of the stuff they do. I'm all for going to different countries because I love traveling and respecting these countries' rules, etc. But some of the rules are just like, bordering on inhumane, aren't they? So it's all intimidation tactics, and I get it. But we'll be there supporting them, and hopefully we can come back with a positive result to get the Pereira reign underway.
Definitely, yeah. I'm just having a look at their team now, actually, from last night. So, as you mentioned, obviously Ederson, Man City. Why people know, yeah. Nelson Semedo, right back. Guendouzi, ex-Arsenal midfield with N'Golo Kante. Marcus Asensio, who was at Aston Villa last season. Anderson Talisca. I think everyone knows who Anderson Talisca is without really having seen him play. Who else have we got there? Obviously Solanke we mentioned on the bench, ex-Leicester. Fred's there as well. But it looks like, obviously for Trabzonspor, I mean, I got that Owen Achu, who was up front, that 6'8" beanpole.
Yeah, big Paul, who scored past last season.
Scored last night as well, but I also had Onana in goal, and I'm looking at FotMob. It's given Onana a 4.6 rating and said that he's made several errors into goals. So
I've seen a clip going around on Twitter earlier that basically Trabzonspor fans were fuming with him. So
some things never change.
Yeah. But obviously, Alex, how are you feeling? Obviously, just touch on some of those policies. You're both going out there that obviously Reiss alluded to. It sounds like you're gonna have this an hour bus in that goes at like 3 latest. Obviously, you can't have any portable phone chargers or anything like that, which you're going to see if your tickets on your phone, you're in big trouble. Obviously, Although I've just got to collect it, I suppose. But it doesn't seem ideal prep. But how are you sort of feeling going ahead of a trip? And again, what's your sort of take on the game?
Yeah, I've had the same feeling pretty much every European away. I've been in a fortunate position where I've been able to go to 4 out of 5 now. I'm sort of, and I didn't manage Austria because the logistics were a bit crap and whatever else. But yeah, 4 out of 5 really been happy with. But it's been one of those situations where the last time we were in Europe, I wasn't even thought about. So just trying to make the most of it because we don't know when these days will sort of roll back around. And going to Turkey to watch a game of football should be up there on pretty much everyone's bucket list. Especially to watch your own team as an away fan. You know what it's like over there. You get the atmosphere, the intimidation when you're in the ground. I'm really looking forward to it. But like you said, I don't understand why English police and whatever else and UEFA give foreign fans such an easy ride. We should have them lined up at Lincoln Cathedral and bust here 3 hours before kickoff. See how they like it. But yeah, no, I'm really looking forward to it. It's going to be a tough game, but I am looking forward to it and slightly more confident now. It feels really weird to say than under Dyche because we haven't played a minute of football under Pereira yet. We don't know what we're going to be like, but I think most of us got to the point where it couldn't get any worse. So it must be slightly better. So I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I would wager it would definitely be a lot better. Well, you'd like to hope it'd be a lot better at least to watch. But we'll soon see, I suppose. Could I get a quick score prediction from both of you before we look at your quiz, Reiss?
0-0.
0-0. Take that, Alex.
I got an entertaining 2-2.
2-2.
You
know what? I think a draw or even a 1-goal deficit isn't the end of the world. Just
bring them back here with
great
result.
Yeah,
we'd be happy with a draw, wouldn't we?
Go there. Get him in front of our own fans second leg. As you said before, the importance of getting the a home time second.
There's no away goals now, is there? So
so
that's out the window as well.
Stink it out and come back and try and repair. But part of the budget. Right, Reiss. Anyway, I believe you have a quiz for us before we mention on something else. Yes.
First question, so good. You're both going to absolutely love it. So, for those who have not seen before, it was a BBC quiz show called Who Dares Wins, not the SAS thing, which was basically like I give a category, there'd be a certain amount of answers for that, and you basically go against each other bidding of how many answers you could name, and then whoever goes the highest is as a go. Obviously, if they get them all right, then they get the point. If they get one wrong, then the other guy gets the point. So the first question is, so I've got the last 20 permanent Forest managers in front of me, right? So this is no caretakers, so they're not in it. So none of the like Stephen Reed, Gary Brazil, Simon Ireland, etc. I want you to tell me who their last Forest game was against. So Christian, you can go first and start in the bidding. So you've got the last 20 permanent Forest managers who their last Forest game was against. How many do you think you could name?
That's a tough one.
Told you it would be tough.
That is tough. Jesus.
If you don't get the last one, then we're struggling.
Yeah. I'm going to go 5, I reckon. Play it safe.
5. And Alex, can you go any higher?
No, I'm going to let Christian have it because I've literally been trying to go through it in my head and I got to 5. So
okay.
Right.
So obviously pick the manager and then tell me who the last game was against.
So obviously Dyche would have been Wolves.
Correct.
Houghton was Borough at home.
Correct.
Cooper was Spurs away. Spurs at home, sorry.
Yeah, you don't need to say home or away, but Spurs is right. So that's 3.
Nuno was West Ham.
Correct. 4.
And Ange would have been Chelsea.
Correct. 5. Told you it was easy. Right, let's go back.
I wouldn't have got Cooper. I'd completely forgot.
Yeah,
there's
a book about that, by the way, if you want to know. But yeah.
let's go back through the others. So Lamucci, last game, any ideas?
Oh god, that would have been, was it Barnsley maybe?
No,
No.
it was during COVID, and it was at home.
Huddersfield.
No,
No.
Oh,
Oh,
I was
Blackburn,
gonna say-
Cardiff. I don't know.
no. Bristol City lost
City,
2-1. Martin O'Neill,
It was the last game of the season. I've been Bolton, wasn't it?
correct. Well done. Karanka,
Chelsea.
correct. In the FA Cup. Mark Warburton,
God.
lost 1-0 at home.
Sunderland.
Correct. Montagnier, 0-0
Wigan?
draw away. This. No,
God, I
this
don't
was
know.
tough. I didn't get this, to be fair. That was Birmingham away.
God,
Dougie
no
Freedman,
recollection of that game at all.
3-0 defeat at home.
No, I don't know that one.
Preston.
No, Sheffield Wednesday. Pierce,
Pierce was Millwall, wasn't it? I think.
correct. Billy, part 2,
Derby.
correct. Alex McLeish. I want to got this one as well.
I don't know. I want to say Birmingham, mate. No.
Correct.
He
It's
was, yeah, he
correct.
was, yeah. I remember
Yeah.
he saved the job to play against his old team. He didn't want to sort of shirk away from that, and then just left.
Yeah.
Correct. Sean O'Driscoll,
Leeds,
correct. Cottrell,
Portsmouth.
correct.
Oh,
That was another
season.
last game of the
Yeah.
season. McLaren,
God, I remember losing to Burnley, but I think that was it.
no.
No, I don't know.
Alex, any idea?
Bristol.
Right.
Bristol City.
Birmingham, Billy, part 1.
That would be
Do
Swansea.
we just sack every manager after playing Birmingham? It seems like they've popped up about 4
Leeds.
times here.
Yeah. Swansea's correct. Calderwood,
Doncaster, we lost 4-2.
correct. Last 40.
Yeah.
Yeah. Megson, last one.
Megson. Was that Oldham? Was it?
Oldham lost 3-0.
Yeah, lost 5-0. Yes, yeah.
No, that was another
Were we on,
time.
were we on TV?
Calderwood, that was.
Were we on TV that game?
No,
I'm
I think,
sure
well,
I remember watching
Oldham
this
was
on
mid.
TV.
It was midweek, I think. This was back in the day when you had to buy the Nottingham Evening Post to realise he'd been sacked. Yeah, and teletext for those. So yeah, Christian gets that point anyway. So well done. So the next one, question 2, is, we're going to Istanbul this week. Was hoping it would last till the final, but we're going to get one trip at least. Never had a player from Turkey, so I was struggling with that. So I was like, what? Never played a Turkish side in Europe, so I couldn't really do a lineup. So I was like thinking a bit outside the box. So I did players who played for Forest from countries beginning with I. So we've never had any from India, Indonesia, Iraq, and Israel, but we have had players from Iceland, Iran, Italy, and Ireland. So this is the Republic of Ireland. So in total is 30. So in total is 36. Northern Ireland does not count.
Ivory Coast is Cote d'Ivoire, I'm guessing.
Yeah, I've done Cote d'Ivoire for that. Yeah, so because I think we've kind of had African players, haven't we, as well?
Yeah.
So I took them out. So we're going for Cote d'Ivoire for Ivory Coast. So there's 36 in total. So Alex, you can start the bidding this time. Players from Iceland, Iran, Italy, and Ireland.
7.
7. Christian. Iceland, Iran, Italy, and Ireland.
I reckon I could do 8. Yeah.
8. Alex. Any? There's 8 Italians. I was hoping you'd all get all of them.
I'll go 9.
9, Christian. Obviously, most of these are from Ireland.
All right, yeah, I'll let you name them. I'm trying
I was
to type
bluffing.
So 9 and Iceland, Iran, Italy, and Ireland. Disappointed, guys. I'm not gonna lie.
I'm tapping. I've just a mind blank of like every Ireland player that's played for us. I'm really sorry to like Cape
It's
Town
quite a
Function
lot.
and the Forest All Over boys. I really have to apologise. I've only think of one. My mind's gone completely blank. I've listed a few Italians though, but yeah.
Weirdly, I've got more Iranians than I have Irish.
God. Well, let's start the ball rolling then. So we've got 9 to get.
Yeah. So Andy Reid, Roy Keane, Lorenzo Luca, Andrea Silenzi, Karim Ansarifad, Ashkan Dijaga.
Yeah. God. That's 6.
Yeah, this is where I'm stumbling. Why can I picture Irish centre backs?
Oh yeah, you're right.
So who's the two Irish
Omabamidele.
Yeah,
correct. 7. Yeah, you've said Roy Keane, Omabamidele, and who's the other Irish player? You said
Andy Reid.
Andy Reid. Yep. So you need 2 more to get the point.
So I've got 7. I feel like Irish players should be way easier than what it is.
Honestly, yeah.
Same as Italians. Obviously, I know the 3 that were brought in the 90s, but I can only Silenzi comes to my head.
He was the one who was separate in the mid-90s. The others were, I think, 2000 as a 3.
Yeah. Those boys.
You've also got 2 Italians who played for us in the 2010s and 1 Italian who's played for us in the 2020s.
Nicola Dimitru.
Correct. One
yeah.
more then. Give you a bit of a clue out. Yeah.
I need 1 more.
There's so many EFL players from Irish. Loads of them. I'll give you till 57. So you've got 30 seconds to go. To think, otherwise Christian gets the point.
Oh god. Oh, he's gonna be fuming when she realises it as well.
Yeah.
Silence.
I don't know why I've got an Italian fullback in my head.
You should do.
It's really winding me up.
Are you giving up?
Says Savona.
Correct. God, there we go.
Sorry, I couldn't let that go.
Weirdly, I wasn't even thinking this season. I was thinking the Italian fullback. I was like,
you couldn't have had Toffler. So Iceland, it was 2, which was Orligsson and Brynjar Gunnarsson. Italians, obviously the famous 3, Matricano, Manini, Petracchi. We also had Makeda on loan, who was useless.
Yeah. Oh, bloody hell,
Irish players. Right, so here we go. Harry Arter, Cyrus Christie, Daryl Murphy, Stephen Henderson, Stephen McLaughlin, Simon Cox, Greg Cunningham, Mark Byrne, Colin Doyle, Stephen McPhail, John Thompson, Keith Foy, David Freeman, Tommy Gaynor, John Burns, Brian Cash, John Sheridan, Joe Garner, Joe Madonna, Mia Dehenny, who was, I think, played in, I think it was the early 70s, I think, and then Youssef and Nieda, who was actually Moroccan but represented Ireland at youth level, so I stuck him in. So, God.
I had Stephen McLaughlin in my head because I was thinking the keeper when we lost 5-1 away at Norwich. And I was like, I got his face, I got his black hair, I just could not remember his name for the life of me. Because he went off, he ended up going off injured because he bottled it because he conceded like 3 screamers in the space of like 20 minutes.
He was the one who messed up as well, I think, for Pierce, wasn't he, for the final game against Millwall, and Ricardo Fuller took it round at Reiss, I remember rightly. Anyway, last question.
Did you say Brendan Maloney?
No, I don't know.
Northern Irish.
I think so, yeah. Same as, yeah.
I don't know.
It's a very Irish name, if not.
Yeah, that's what I thought, Brandon. I think he was Irish as well. Well, he wasn't in the thing, annoyingly. But he wouldn't. Well, if you'd have given him, I would have to go to a.
Yeah,
he's Irish. So if you would have said him, then yeah, he was born in Ireland.
Oh, fair enough. Yeah.
Right. So question 3. So obviously after Fenerbahce's next game is Liverpool at the City Ground in the Premier League at home. So I could have picked a few. So you've got 20 options here. So this is the Forest squad. What was picked for the 1-0 FA Cup defeat to Liverpool in the promotion season. So Christian, you could start the bidding on this. So you've got 20 options. So it was an 11 with 9 subs. I was nearly very hard and nearly gave you the Liverpool team.
Oh God.
But I thought, well, I'm glad I haven't after these first 2 questions.
Yeah.
So you got
I'm
20.
I'm going 9. I reckon it's the
9.
subs that might catch me out. I think I can't remember who had on the bench that day. But
Okay. Alex,
12.
12. Woo. Better. Christian,
we'll go bold. We'll go 15.
15. Oh,
I'll let you have that, mate.
go on then.
I think I was also thinking around 13, 14.
Okay, remember,
So,
if you have
yeah,
one
I'll let
wrong,
you have
Alex
that.
steals the point. So 15.
Yeah.
I'd be impressive.
Okay. Go on.
Okay, so obviously Zinchenko, for obvious
Yeah.
reasons. Remember that.
I don't.
Let's go. Colback,
Correct.
Spence,
3,
Figueiredo,
4,
Samba,
correct.
10
more to go.
Johnson,
Correct.
was Alex Myton on the bench?
Correct.
Yeah,
Came on actually.
yeah. This is what might catch me out. Was he injured by then? Keenan Davis.
Correct. Yeah.
I'm thinking of both captains that season. I'm pretty sure didn't play in that game. I don't know if Cook did. Screw it, Steve Cook.
Is incorrect.
Yeah, I thought it was either Cook or
Not
Worrell didn't play in
play.
that game. I couldn't remember which, but yeah.
So the others were Horvath starting in goal. Worrell did play.
Yeah, yeah.
Garner, Ryan
Ross
Yates,
Higgins, yeah.
Joe Lolly. That made up the starting 11. So you won, Alex, by the way. The bench there is some tough options on the bench. So you've got Xander Silva.
Xander Silva, yeah, hero.
What boy?
Cafu,
What
Sam
boy?
Surridge, Brian Ayeda, Richie Larea, Gaten Bong, and Loic Ambeso. That made the team up. Just a bit of quick tennis before we leave. Any ideas what the Liverpool side was that day? Can you name any of them?
Yeah, Shimakash, Jota, Henderson,
Shimikash, yeah. Henderson, come on, yeah. Jota, yeah.
Van Dijk. Because there's that
Yeah.
instance where Van Dijk sort of just walked over and just
Yeah.
pushed Spence off the pitch.
Yeah. I do. Alex, any from you?
Kelleher.
No.
Is he not? Who was
Firmino.
21.
Firmino played, yeah. He also he wasn't the sub keeper as well.
Firmino blazed that one-on-one over, didn't he? Do you remember when he went through?
No, Horvath tipped it, didn't he?
Yeah.
So they had Alisson, Kunate, Joe Gomez, Fabinho, Thiago, Oxlade-Chamberlain, Luis Diaz, Naby Keita, Harvey Elliott, Minamino, Curtis Jones, Origi. Adrian was a sub-keeper, Joel Matip and Owen Beck.
Adrian.
That day.
Yeah. Was that must have been the last year of Adrian and Kelleher joined that summer. I was going to say, because it was around then.
Yeah, so well done, Alex. So you won the quiz.
By default.
Yeah. And yeah, just to say as well, those who are listening, that there was an online quiz called Call Yourself a Fan, which is by Coral with celebrity panel. Alex Brooker, us three were actually against them. That episode's coming out online on Friday, so we'll be able to put it on the socials. So we was against a team of Jimmy Bullard, the comedian Lloyd Griffiths, a Grimsby fan, and Mark Crossley. So looking forward to putting that out. So one for your diaries on Friday.
Very much so. Yeah, we'll be sharing that call and if you have a little snips and snaps of that as well. But just before we go, by very popular demands as well, may I add, Premier Elliot has decided to send in another fact for us to read out on his behalf. And today's fact is that a few weeks ago, a French hospital had to be evacuated after a 24-year-old patient went in with an unexploded World War I bomb up his rectum, which apparently left him in a state of extreme discomfort. I have no idea how that got there, nor do I want to know how that got there. But yeah, it's not every day you wake up with a bomb inside you, I guess. Yeah, dearie me. But anyway, I hope
would have been explosive diarrhea.
Yeah.
I'm here all night.
Oh, dear. Anyway, thank you all for joining us. Obviously, as Reiss alluded to, we'll have something going out in the week with a Fenerbahce fan. It's a little preview for the game. Both of you have a safe flight. I hope the time is, it's going to be a very difficult day, of course, with how you sort of shepherd around and whatever else. I hope it goes as seamless as possible. Obviously, keep yourself safe and whatever else. And yeah, we'll have a debrief probably on the Friday. I imagine maybe probably the Friday ahead of Liverpool game on Sunday as well. So yeah, fair bit to talk about in the coming weeks. But we go into a new week where Sean Dyche is not a manager anymore. Isn't that cause to be happy? Monday might be a bit sweeter tomorrow. But anyway, for everyone else, enjoy the rest of your weekends. And yeah, we'll see you very soon. Come on, you Reds.